WWE swooped in on an Indy talent after their AEW appearance. We'll talk about that in a moment. Plus, Sting is planning a retirement match and scrapped plans for a WWE show have been revealed. It is all in the wrestling news right now. Yesterday, we talked about the signing of Dragon Lee, now part of WWE, set to make his debut in NXT in January. The announcement came after he and Dralistico won the AAA tag team titles over FTR on Wednesday. And then they immediately vacated them. But Fightful Select and ESPN's Mark Raimondi have given a few more details about Dragon Lee signing to the WWE, saying that he signed with them earlier this month. And we are told that WWE had expressed interest after Dragon Lee had appeared on AEW TV this year, and swooped in and came to an agreement with him when they found out that he didn't have a contract with the company. Now, we don't know for definite whether or not there was an interest in AEW to bring Dragon Lee in, but when WWE heard that he was there, they liked him. Oh, you're not an AEW guy right now? Well, let's get amongst that. You can't deny the fact that WWE keep tabs on AEW. They pretend sometimes in interviews that they don't, but they absolutely do. Why wouldn't you, as a wrestling promoter, keep tabs on AEW? Particularly AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, where they showcase brilliant talent. It's a great system. I like it a lot. To go back to what Fightful Select and ESPN were saying, those that we spoke to indicated that Dragon Lee had also pushed for his brother Dralistico, who has performed as Dragon Lee and Mystico in the past, to join WWE as well. But WWE passed on him for the time being, which is a shame. Have them both in the company at the same time would have been fun. WWE had cameras at the AAA show on December 28th, and they were filming and Dragon Lee will report to the Performance Center over the next few weeks. So interestingly, we may see some AAA footage on a future episode of WWE TV, possibly on an episode of NXT. Those that we spoke to, say Fightful Select, didn't believe AEW was caught off guard by it. So not that AEW would have had much of a say in it if he wasn't signed, but certainly them seeing him on AEW television is what made them go, yep, there's the guy, we'll take him. We'll take him, please. Put him in the back and we'll have him. In terms of where going back to the tag team title situation, because Dragon Lee and Dralistico won the tag titles, then vacated them immediately. So it meant that FTR's reign as AAA doubles division dominators is done, as is, according to Fightful Select, FTR's future plans with AAA overall. They say FTR is done with AAA for the time being. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler dropped the AAA tag titles, and it was reported the week prior that they were expected to drop the titles where they did, and now we know it served a dual purpose, to further their current losing streak storyline and because they're done with AAA. So there's multiple masters at play here. All of this comes at the same time as Dax Harwood discussing how maybe he and Cash Wheeler, when their contract ends with AEW, might come away from sort of mainstream wrestling altogether and instead maybe focus on doing smaller bits and pieces that they'd like to do. Maybe the odd independent show that floats their boat. And what a great position to be in, right? If you can have that freedom to go, actually, we just want to do the stuff that we just want to do, and more power to them for doing that. So FTR potentially planning to call time, at least on a temporary basis, in AEW, maybe. Sting is planning his end of days as well for All Elite Wrestling. There's no ill will between them. Their relationship is fantastic. Top marks to AEW, who I think have done fab work with Sting. Like, you can't compare the WWE run and the AEW run. It's night and day. AEW has really imbued life in Sting, and it's been lovely to see. But he has spoke with The Ringer about how he plans to wrap up his in-ring career. He is already thinking about that retirement match. He says, I know that Darby Allin is going to be a part of it for sure. I won't have a singles match at this point, though. Darby will be along with me, and I'll be along with him, and we can add more to it as far as I'm concerned. I have a few people also in mind. I really don't want to say now who they are. I want fans to be thoroughly entertained and just have a good time in reminiscing with me. As history begins to come to an end, as the last wave comes into shore, I want to ride it with all those who want to come on with me. So he's thinking on the way out, he wants to work with Darby Allin. And it seemingly making out that it would be a tag team match with he and Darby Allin involved when he calls time. Similar way that how next year we'll see Darby Allin and Sting team with the Great Muta in his final match for pro wrestling. Noah, similar way that Sting would want to go out tag teaming with Darby Allin. I kind of like the idea of Sting and Darby Allin having a match. I think they could go. I think they could go. That might be how Sting goes out. Maybe. Just a thought. I want to give some best wishes to Jonathan Carrion. Now, if you've been around the wrestling world for as long as I have, you'll remember Ring of Honor's early days, and you'll remember Special K, the team, and you'll remember Deranged from Special K. He was planning a bit of a resurgence in 2023, and there was some interest from some promotions for him to come out and do some stuff. That's all been put on hold. He had suffered a horrific injury in the ring on October the 6th, a terrible knee injury that basically shattered the knee to pieces. He went to, actually, I'll give you the actual thing he had. It was a displaced tibial plateau fracture. A puncture in my meniscus also had to be repaired as well. Surgery was performed on November the 9th. And he's now on crutches until February of next year. Doctors may even say that if the rehab doesn't go the way that it's supposed to, he may not be able to stretch his legs out properly again. This is heartbreaking because it comes at a time where Deranged was making plans for a resurgence, and now that is completely on hold. He set up a GoFundMe for anybody that can help support him, because now he's lost all of his income. This is it's the tough time of wrestling. It's the risks that you run. But he says he has set that up. I'll stick it in the comments down there. I'll stick it in the description rather. If you can, if you want to take a look, so even just sharing it would do something good for somebody who was part of Ring of Honor's very early days. Wanting to give him some love there today. Let's talk about some scrapped plans, shall we? I do love a bit of scrapped planage. Road Dogg on his podcast, Oh You Didn't Know, told us something that we didn't know. He pitched for Dexter Lumis to be from Skinwalker Ranch as his hometown. He says there's a show called Skinwalker Ranch, and there's a place called Skinwalker Ranch. The truth about Skinwalker Ranch is that a bunch of paranormal activity happens out there, or at least that is what is reported. There's a lot of UFO sightings, a lot of cow mutilations, a lot of weird stuff. The show's just come on, and I just started watching it. I was like, oh, this show is cool. He suggested to Triple H that Dexter reminate from the place that the show is based in, is Skinwalker Ranch, and he says Hunter buried it straight away. So there you go. Do with that information what you will. He was meant to be from Skinwalker Ranch. We could have had an alien-inspired gimmick by Dexter Lumis. Maybe the whole gimmick being that he's an alien pretending to be a human. Maybe. Maybe. We'll end on this scrapped plan for a WWE show. It's not a fourth hour of Raw. It's not a third hour of SmackDown. I love this. Santino Marella was interviewed by the 10 Count, and he shot a pilot for a proposed WWE Network series called Somebody Loves Santino. That would have offered, it would have basically been the home life of Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix with hilarious results. He said that he wrote part of it along with some of the writers in WWE. Vince McMahon really liked it, and it never really got much further. He said that Vince McMahon assigned writers to write another 3 episodes. But a comedy of errors befell the series. He says that the writer got Lyme disease, then a writer broke their hip, and then there was a death in the family for another writer, which meant that it never really got the wheels turning on that again for multiple difficult reasons. And he says then they said that it just never really found the way that it was supposed to, but we very nearly had it. In fact, in the interview on the 10 Count, Santino Marella talks about how he watched the Big Show and said, that's the sort of thing that we were going to end up doing, me and Beth Phoenix, as Somebody Loves Santino. I think it would have been slightly better. I'm just saying. Big Show wasn't. It's funny because he's tall. The Santino one would have been possibly funnier. That's our last news video, unless something happens, for 2022. I know it's been weird, just being me in the BBC Radio Newcastle studios because I'm pulling double duty, but thank you for bearing with. Thank you for all your support throughout 2022 as well. We genuinely couldn't do what we do without you. It means the world that we have you with us. Thank you so very, very much. We'll be back to normal next week, next year, with two of us in the studio having a laugh, and it'll all be good, I promise you. For the latest wrestling news throughout the day, of course, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Stay safe and love you, bye.